Bienvenidos a todos los que nos acompañan de nuestra comunidad hispanohablante. Si usted necesita traducción al español, le invitamos que nos acompañe, y un miembro de personal está disponible para traducir a través de línea telefónica. Para unirse a la traducción ahora mismo, por favor marque al número 1-669-900-6833 con el número de identificación 889-5905-1042 y use la clave 094-080. Toda esta información la puede encontrar en nuestra página de internet del Distrito Escolar, visitando www.ssfusd.org y busque bajo la sección de School Board Meetings. Muchas gracias.
All right, the South San Francisco Unified School District reconvening into open session. All right, may I have a roll call, please?
Student trustee Harsana. Here. Trustee Richardson. Present. Trustee Shea.
Here.
Trustee Lamb.
Here.
President Anthony.
Present. May I have the Pledge of Allegiance? It will be led by Monte Verde Elementary School fifth grader Bianca Lapis.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Principal Mert, will you tell us a little bit about Bianca?
Absolutely. Good evening, President Anderson, Dr. Moore, members of the board, members of the cabinet, and our own former Monte Verde student whose first night is on the board, Josephine Harsana. Let me tell you a little bit about Bianca and why she was chosen to represent Monte Verde. Bianca is a hardworking student who meets challenges with a positive attitude and a growth mindset. She recently, her favorite things are not really school subjects, but she excels at singing, dancing, and last year she was in the talent show and she did impressions. The thing about Bianca is she's always has a positive attitude and meets challenges with a growth mindset, like I said earlier. She recently asked me when the dates are for the CASP testing. Now, normally it's not a question that I have to answer from the students, but she asked, and so I asked her, well, why are you asking? We're not doing it until April. And she said, well, I want to compare my score this year to how I did last year. I want to see what improvements I've made over the year. So that's why she was chosen. And now it's time for your great picture. Here is your certificate. Come around this side. In the middle.
All right, item D, land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the South San Francisco Unified School District is located on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. Item E, reporting out from closed session.
In accordance with Government Code Section 54956.9 and in reference to closed session agenda item number 1, Jane Doe v. South San Francisco USD, case number 22-CIV-0526. The board unanimously voted to approve the settlement in the matter of Jane Doe v. South San Francisco USD. Plaintiff has agreed to dismiss her lawsuit against the district and release the district from any and all claims in exchange for payment of $250,000. Each party shall bear their own costs. In accordance with Government Code Section 54957 and in reference to closed session agenda item number 2, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release, the board unanimously voted to non-reelect 1 probationary certificated employee in accordance with Education Code Section 44929.21. The board voted 3 ayes and 1 nay to release 2 certificated administrators in accordance with Education Code Section 44951, and the board unanimously voted to release 16 temporary certificated employees in accordance with Education Code Section 44954.
Thank you, Mr. Hanan. Review of agenda. Do we have any other changes? Or any changes? All right. Moving on to item G, PTA Council remarks. I'd like to invite up Walsey Wong from Monte Verde.
Oh, it's on. Hello. Perfect. Good evening, President Anthony, trustees, Superintendent Moore, members of the cabinet, and members of the community. My name is Walsey Wong. This is my 6th year volunteering with the PTA and my 1st year of the 2nd term as president at Monte Verde. My kids are currently in 3rd and 5th grade. We have a lot of upcoming events to highlight for PTAs in this district this month. Monte Verde is having the Feast of Nations on February 20th. Buri Buri is having their glow dance on the 21st. Schools have been having restaurant takeovers all month. There are 4 more through the end of February. IR Taqueria and Market will be at the Los Cerritos parking lot on February 18th. Ponderosa is having theirs at Nations on the 19th. Westboro is also having their takeover on the 19th at Mod Pizza. Junipero Serra is having theirs at Jollibee on the 21st. I'd like to take a moment to share a bit about Monte Verde PTA, but first, I would like to thank all of the PTA members and parent volunteers who are here with us tonight. Please stand and be acknowledged. Thank you. We are especially proud of the community events that we bring our whole family together, like the Welcome Back Ice Cream Social, the Fall Carnival, Craft Cocoa and Claws, and of course our numerous movie nights. These events are only possible because of our amazing staff, our dedicated executive board, our tireless PTA members and parent volunteers, even the ones that are voluntold. We appreciate every single one of you. Without all of you, we wouldn't be able to bring these wonderful community building experiences to life. And it doesn't stop there. We also make sure to contribute to the magic that happens during school hours. The assemblies, driving to the field trips, the art and action program, the pumpkin contest, the holiday gift shop, and of course the yearbook. These are just a few of the ways the PTA helps make school a more vibrant and enriching experience. The PTA is fully aligned with the graduate aims here: learn, navigate, thrive, and impact. For Learn, we hold a book donation fundraiser every year where we not only raise funds, but we also gather together to wrap the books in protective covers before donating them to our library, because we believe in creating a space where kids can thrive through reading. When it comes to thrive, our community events like the Fall Carnival serve as a fun and active way to bring families together while promoting wellness and joy. The holiday gift shop teaches our students about real-world skills like budgeting and planning. They get a chance to set a budget, make purchases, and adjust on the fly. It's hands-on learning at its finest. And of course, we're all here because we deeply care about the kids. And nothing makes me happier than seeing our kids grow, thrive, and become more confident, capable individuals. Thank you. And if there are no questions, that's our report for the evening.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wong. All right, moving on to Staff Association Representatives' remarks. Item H, South San Francisco Federation of Adult Educators, Ms. Bales-Stutes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Bales-Stutes, the president of the South San Francisco Federation of Adult Educators. I just want to cover a few things for the adult school. Their ESL program, we are continuing a focus on strengthening our writing curriculum and instruction, and working hard to develop CTE programs. As always, I also want to cover this. As always, we affirm our solidarity with the CTA as they move through their contract negotiations with the district. My remarks this evening are brief. So I'm going to take off my union president hat for a moment and put on my CTI hat. At Adult Ed, I support 6 day teachers and 2 evening teachers. I also support our office staff. So I have about 10, 12 people to help. I understand that one of the CTI coordinator TOSA's positions is due to be eliminated. And I have no idea how one person could take on all of that work. They apparently support about 500 teachers, and I'm very concerned about the person who's going to be remaining in that single position and how that person could possibly adequately support all of the teachers in the district with all of the technology that we use as teachers. So I understand some of the members have some remarks for this evening, and I want to express my own concern. This is not as union president, but just as a CTI. I'm concerned about the ripple effect that this could have through the district, because our students are our top priority, and to have our students adequately taken care of, we really need our teachers adequately taken care of. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association, Sherry Giusti.
Good evening, President Anthony, trustees, Dr. Moore, SSFUSD cabinet members, and SSFUSD community, including members of Monte Verde family. I appreciate everyone meeting together on this stormy winter night. Looking at the bright side, we are not in Alaska right now. No, thankfully we are in California, where the weather is usually friendlier, but our political climate feels very unstable at the moment. The California Teachers Association is working diligently to get answers out to our members about how to support our students if ICE raids occur at our schools. Posters and cards are in production and should be available in the next week or two. The Department of Education could be dismantled. CTA is actually having a town hall meeting soon on the 19th of February to address concerns on how it is working to address these and other political concerns. I am sure many, including myself, feel the foundation beneath our feet has been demolished. Here, locally, our school district is also contemplating big changes, as you will hear tonight. We trust that these changes are meant to build up, not tear down. While I feel that change in SSFUSD is necessary, I am counting on SSFUSD to make necessary and thoughtful decisions that will shape the future for our places of learning, changes that will utilize our resources in the most efficient ways, but will also make these changes empathetically with students and employees in mind. While true, our leaders in the district office have listened to stakeholders and have researched many sources to find solutions. I still feel like teachers' voices have not always made it to the forefront, nor been included in the decision-making process. With many stakeholders having recently returned from visiting exemplary schools in San Diego, thank you, Bay Ed Fund, I am sure we will be hearing some amazing stories. But don't forget to look in our own backyard for inspiration as well. Part of the presentation tonight about strategic staffing will be about instructional coaching. I have asked that SSFUSD bargain with SSFCTA regarding this new position job description, because this will affect educators on many levels. We want to ensure that this position will be utilized in a positive way, ensuring that growth in the profession is what members experience among the possibilities that could arise, because it could easily be used against teachers as well. My suggestions for other phases of the strategic plan are to include teachers in the decision-making, not just feedback. Utilize our strengths. Ask us what works well with our students. Inform us about new best practices. Help us celebrate our wins with our students. Support us with our challenges. Be the foundation we need to rise up so that we can rise up and say, as we do in Monte Verde territory, fly like an eagle. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item I, Personnel Commission.
Our next Personnel Commission meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 at 5:00 p.m. in the District Office Boardroom.
Thank you so much. Item J, items from the board. I just have one really quick announcement, and I know that Dr. Moore is going to talk a little bit about federal policy and what we're doing, but the red cards, one of the things that I learned at a Know Your Rights workshop last week is that it's actually really important that people who are documented also carry the red card. That way it's not just like, oh, whoever has a red card is a target. So please, in solidarity, think about carrying a red card as well. Any other announcements? Calendar, committee reports? You guys didn't have the committee recently, did you? Board bylaws?
We did, and I believe we're approving the minutes, but
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, moving on to item K, Superintendent's report.
thank you very much, President Anthony. So I'd like to start by introducing our wonderful new she's not new ASB president, but our student trustee, Josephina Harsana. She is our spring trustee representing South San Francisco High School. She has already been providing updates to the board and the community from the student lens this year, but now she will be able to engage with the board in discussions and share her insights from a student perspective to inform the board's thinking about various practices, programs, and policies. And it is my pleasure to welcome Trustee Harsana. We're so happy to have you here. Previously, Jamie Wong, who's in the audience tonight, wasn't able to be here with us, and I wanted to share once again to publicly acknowledge her. She has also been a pleasure to work with. She's offered valuable insights, timely updates, and really thoughtful student perspectives. We appreciated so much her professionalism and her excellent communication skills. We look forward to continuing to hear from her as she provides her updates on events happening at El Camino High School. The next item is on resource allocation and strategic staffing. This past fall, as many of you know, we engaged in our strategic staffing initiatives, which is part of our strategic plan that's aligned to equity-centered systems, which says that we will work to implement a focused, transparent annual planning process that allocates resources, our people, time, and money equitably, sustainably, and in support of our strategic priorities. So I will be presenting more on that this evening. The Accrediting Commission for Schools, Western Association of Schools and Colleges, recently informed me that South San Francisco High School has met the criteria for accreditation. This accreditation status is based on all of the information provided by the school, including the school's report and the satisfactory completion of the accreditation visit. It is the decision of the commission to grant a 6-year accreditation status, which is the highest status they give, through June 30th, 2031, with a mid-cycle visit during the 27-28 school year. We are all really proud of the staff, the students, the families at South San Francisco High School who really helped make this wonderful accomplishment happen. So congratulations to South San Francisco. Recently, I had the privilege of attending a superintendent symposium through AXA, and I wanted to thank the board for supporting me to attend the symposium. This is an event that invites all superintendents in the state of California to attend and engage in a shared learning opportunities, to connect, to strengthen relationships with each other, and of course, to engage in some invaluable shared learning. This year, I was on the planning committee. Our theme was leading with gratitude and embracing our purpose, empowering students and educators to thrive. So hopefully you hear some evidence of our strategic plan in the theme. We offered several sessions that were focused on educational equity, leadership, leading in times of challenge, operations, excellent instruction, and ways to provide ongoing support for ourselves as leaders, other leaders in our system, and of course, our staff and our students. I learned a lot from other districts that had some very specific strategies that they've used for continuous improvement, and just always remain really grateful for the opportunity to participate. And many of the sessions that I attended were intentionally selected in thinking about what aligns best to our strategic plan. And then my last item, I am absolutely aware that there is a lot of fear and angst in our community with regard to everything happening in our country. I wanted to share at the symposium a consistent message that I heard was to stay the course in the ways that we are supporting our community and our students during this very turbulent time. Despite the myriad of orders that we are seeing that are coming out pretty rapidly, we were told that we need to continue to just stay focused on why we are here, affirm our commitment to our students, continue to provide a safe and inclusive educational environment, regardless of our students' or families' legal status, gender identity, ethnicity, or background. Should things change and laws are reevaluated, we will receive additional information as to future steps in which we can take. And that would be something that we would do in concert and partnership with our board and legal counsel to address. But at this point in time, we will continue to remain committed to our students and families, providing a safe, stable, inclusive schooling environment. So I just wanted to share that with those, as I know people are worried about the implications for South San Francisco kiddos. And with that, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Item L, student trustee reports. First, Ms. Harsana.
Good evening, board, cabinet, and community. My name is Josephine Harsana, and it's my pleasure to represent South San Francisco High School. I'm so honored to be sitting up here tonight. With Valentine's Day right around the corner, South City is spreading the love and joy with our annual tradition of marriage in the quad. Tomorrow on Valentine's Day, students have the opportunity to get fake married to their friends and or their significant others in the quad during lunch. Mr. Capitan, a legally ordained officiant who has performed real weddings, will perform the ceremonies tomorrow. Students will receive a physical certificate, ring pops, and digital photos with their friends. Additionally, Valentine grams, including a handwritten card and a rose, will be sold during lunch for $3. This is the perfect way to spread love, friendship, and school spirit. As the winter sports season wraps up, we would like to congratulate all athletes for completing another season and all seniors for concluding their last season as a high school athlete. The wrestling team celebrated their senior night on January 28th. They will be competing in the CCS Northern Regionals this Saturday at Gunn High School. Our girls varsity soccer team recently beat Half Moon Bay and celebrated their senior night last week on the 6th, with the boys celebrating their senior night the following day. Both the boys and girls varsity basketball team recently beat Oceana, and just last night, the boys team beat Westmore High School. Our basketball teams are preparing to play El Camino tomorrow in the Big Hoops game at South City's very own Big Gym. Here, both boys and girls basketball will be celebrating their senior nights. Good luck to all athletes playing tomorrow, and go Warriors. As for club activities, the South City mock trial team concluded their season last Tuesday, placing 4th in the league overall. The Red Cross Club concluded their blood drive last Wednesday with 24 life-saving units of blood leaving our school to directly help those who have been impacted by the LA wildfires. Thank you to all community members who took time out of their day and came to South City to donate blood. The Earth Club is preparing to go on their annual camping trip from March 7th to the 9th in Big Sur. ASB elections are right around the corner, and this is one of the most competitive seasons we've seen. We are so glad to see many students interested in ASB. Campaign week will last the entire week next week, and voting will conclude next Friday. The results will be announced that same day. Good luck to all those who are running for a class officer position. Additionally, the ASB executive officers will be accompanying the counselors on their visits to the middle schools on March 5th and 6th to encourage 8th grade students to join South City ASB as they pick their classes for the first year of high school. This year's prom will be taking place on Saturday, April 26th in Fox Theater from 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. The theme will be Old Hollywood, and tickets will be sold starting prices at $100 next Wednesday, February 19th. As for other upcoming fundraisers, the class of 2028 will be doing a Raising Cane's takeover on March 5th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. The class of 2027 will be holding a Milk Tea Lab takeover on March 12th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And finally, the class of 2025 will be holding a New Horizons fundraiser on February 24th before school. Finally, South City wrapped up History Day week last Friday with 22 projects moving forward to the county competition. Last week, judges enjoyed a variety of projects ranging from podcasts, websites, live performances, documentaries, and physical exhibits. These students have embodied the goals of Portrait of a Graduate by demonstrating their commitment to learning by not only completing a 6-month research project, but producing excellent projects worthy of representing our school at the next stage of the competition. Congratulations to all students who are advancing in this year's National History Day competition, and good luck at the county competition. If there are no further questions, this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Jamie Wong, can I invite you up for our El Camino report?
I have one question, President.
Oh, sure. Sorry, I didn't see that.
What time is the basketball meeting tomorrow?
Can you speak into the microphone?
I did.
You didn't.
What time is the basketball game tomorrow?
So it's a quad game, which means all 4 teams, so girls JV, boys JV will be playing. Girls JV will be first starting at 4 p.m.
Thank you so much. All right. Student trustee Wong.
Good evening, board members, cabinet, and audience at home and audience present. My name is Jamie Wong, and I'm currently a senior serving as the ASB president at El Camino High School and the fall student trustee. It has been a while since I've seen you all, as I hope you all had a wonderful winter break entering the new year. El Camino's second ever food court is happening tomorrow, and we couldn't be more excited. After the huge success of our first food court last month, we are thrilled to bring it back to showcase the remaining clubs that haven't had their turn yet. This event gives them the recognition and publicity they deserve, allowing students to learn more about their missions while enjoying delicious food samples. Just like last time, students have pre-purchased tokens to exchange for food, making it an engaging and interactive way to support our school's clubs. We can't wait to see everyone there. To build excitement for our annual Hoops Rally happening tomorrow, we hosted a Valentine's themed Spirit Week filled with fun and creativity. We kicked off the week with Cuddle Up Monday, where students wore their comfiest PJs. On Perfect Pair Tuesday, friends twinned up in matching outfits. Crazy in Love Wednesday had everyone in mismatched or backward clothing. And today, students showed off their spirit with Show Your Love for your favorite sport Thursday, rocking jerseys and athletic attire. Finally, we're wrapping up the week with a festive Valentine's Day Friday, where everyone will be dressed in red, pink, or white. We are beyond excited to host the Hoops Rally and bring the energy as we prepare for the big game against our rivals, South City. Best of luck to our Colts, and we can't wait to cheer them on from the sidelines. Wrapping up the winter sports season, we have celebrated our incredible senior athletes with senior nights for wrestling, basketball, and soccer. We recognize Andrew Damian, Sean DeCumos, Michael Shawili, Jay Sarik, and Aaliyah Rivera for their outstanding wrestling season. For boys varsity basketball, we honored Kyle Torres, Cyrus Malbes, Troy Sapora, Mickey Osario, Marco Melendez, JJ Pascal, Josh Pineda, Anthony Yuen, and Nathan Forrester for their dedication and hard work on the court. Our girls varsity basketball seniors, Caitlin Santos, Zoe Ng, Adriana Del Rosario, Chelsea DeBasco, and Isiana Martinez have also left an incredible mark on the program. Boys soccer senior night occurred last night as they won their match 4-0, and our girls soccer senior night happened tonight in the cafeteria with gifts and dinner provided for the girls. Congratulations to all of our seniors as they close out their high school careers and head into CCS. We can't wait to see how they continue to shine. As March 8th is approaching, join us in celebrating the extraordinary life and legacy of Jim Cresta, a remarkable educator who dedicated 57 years to inspiring brilliance at El Camino High School from 1964 to 2021. We'll honor his memory with a special car show featuring an impressive lineup of classics, street machines, under construction builds, antiques, trucks, and domestic and foreign vehicles. Pre-registration is $35 or $40 at the door. Additional lunch and dessert tickets for guests are available for $10. All proceeds will go to the Jim Cresta Scholarship Fund, supporting ECHS graduates pursuing a trade or vocation. Register your ride today and help us celebrate a true legend while contributing to a meaningful cause. Our flyer has been posted on our Instagram account at ECHS_Colts, so make sure to check that out for more information. That concludes my report, and unless there are any other questions or concerns, I'd like to thank you all for listening. I hope you all have an amazing 3-day weekend and stay safe.
Super. All right, we'll move on to item M, public comments. To comment in person during the meeting, this is sort of a last call as I get through this. If you have another comment, public comments are limited to 1 to 3 minutes per individual per board bylaw 9323. Name and address cards are placed in the back of the room to be completed and given to the secretary. The board president will call upon individuals in random order who have requested to speak. Each person may only speak once and is required to address the board from the podium. The meeting is recorded and streamed live. Individuals may address the board concerning school business not on the agenda, but public comment cannot be acted upon or discussed by the board unless placed on the agenda at a subsequent meeting in accordance with the law, the Brown Act. The board may request staff to respond orally at the meeting or in writing at a future time. All right, I have 4 public comments for items not listed on the agenda and just want to confirm with the 2 yellow card providers that you want to speak later. Is that all right? Okay, thank you. All right, random order. I will start with Michelle Bartoli.
Good evening, President Anthony, board members, Dr. Moore, and staff. My name is Michelle Bartoli, and I'm a 4th grade teacher at Monte Verde Elementary. I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to pilot the illustrative math program over the past 6 months. One of my favorite things about the program is all of the real-world math problems that the students engage in daily. They are asked to collaborate with their peers and have rich mathematical discussions while using a variety of manipulatives and diagrams to solve the problems. Although those are 2 elements that I like, I have significant reservations about the program. One of the most glaring inadequacies is a significant lack of practice in each lesson. The curriculum only gives 2 to 4 math problems for students to work through each day. There is one additional problem the teacher can assign, but beyond that, teachers are left with limited options to provide math practice other than utilizing the centers. I find the centers to be insufficient, cumbersome, and ultimately unhelpful for the students. It does not provide the robust support that the program claims to have. No great athlete, engineer, entrepreneur, or the like have ever excelled by simply doing things a couple of times, particularly without instruction or teaching. Our students are no exception. The overall design of the program puts students in the driver's seat of their learning, with a teacher acting as the guide. While this concept seems to be a positive shift, the reality is not always so. Students who lack foundational math skills are confused due to the lack of direct instruction. With illustrative mathematics, students are asked to collaborate with their peers to solve the math problems. While the students try to work together, I've observed some of my students being confused by the subject and consistently off topic. Others have shut down completely due to extreme frustration. Pulling small groups for additional support is not encouraged in the program. If we want our students to reach their full potential, not only do we need to provide foundational knowledge support, but also mathematical challenges for those who excel in the subject. IM doesn't seem to provide either sufficiently. Overall, I do not feel that the positives of the program outweigh the negatives. However, if the curriculum is ultimately adopted, there needs to be robust and continuous math training, significant teacher support beyond just the first year of implementation, and supplemental programs such as IXL to provide additional practice for students. If it is approved, I would encourage the board to prioritize allocating staff time and district resources to support students and teachers by creating a holistic plan and a roadmap to implement the new math program, so we can add value to the new program so that the sum can be greater than all the parts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lucy Bradshaw.
Hi, thank you, President Anthony, Board, Cabinet. I'm a 20-year veteran teacher, and I'm here tonight to talk about my why. You know, we love that. You know, what's your why? I love what I do. I love my job. I love the kids. Today I thought I was going to get a blister from cutting out so many hearts. Like, I love it, but I'm going to be honest, my why is my paycheck. That's why I show up every day. Okay, so we're not going to play games that's not your why too, you know? And it's, well, let's talk about the portrait of a paycheck, right? For a teacher. Let's do that. For us to advance our pay, we can go down horizontally with years, though it's paused for 5 years at a time. But to go vertically, you have to take classes. You have to pay for those classes and earn units to advance your pay. So in the past few years, we've had a major problem with teachers not knowing how many units they have or how many units they need to get to the next column. And we're in a situation where almost everyone who submitted units had difficulties that I talked to at our site. I talked to teachers at other sites that are having problems with pay. And emails that are not unanswered. How many units do I need? Oh, we're moving our office. The files are in a box. We can't tell you. We'll get back to you in a couple weeks. Well, the deadline's next week. Sorry. This is people's pay. My pay is fine. I'm not here talking about my pay. I'm talking about my colleagues' pay, who month after month have not been paid what they should be paid. It went on for a year, one teacher a year, where she's saying, how humiliating. Oh, hello, hi, it's me again. I still haven't got that raise I was hoping for that I earned by paying for classes. Still haven't got that. Any idea when that's going to be fixed? And it's really hard. We have so many initiatives, the new math. We have to supplement, you know, the reading. We've got the science. We've got Portrait of a Graduate. We're trying to juggle all of these things. But at home, people are trying to juggle their kids. They're trying to buy Valentines, you know? they don't have time to come here and tell you this stuff, and they're embarrassed to. But I'm not, I don't mind. My pay is fine, but I will speak up for my colleagues. This, I don't know what you have to do, and it makes me wonder. I was thinking, I wonder if anyone on the cabinet, I wonder if their pay is short. You know, maybe not. Like maybe you guys aren't struggling with what other people are. You know, it should be fixed immediately. Otherwise, you know, I'll see you guys on the 27th. We'll talk about it again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, Megan Connery.
Good evening, Megan Connery, El Camino High School. Hello, usual math pilot conversation. So it took me a couple of days to process the information that you received last week at the study session, and I have some concerns. First, the District Common Assessment, or the MARS task, and the data that you were shown on page 20, you can go back and look. The teachers, myself included, have not seen any of this data. The data is skewed for the 12th graders, since the 12th grader who had the opportunity to took the common assessment would have been in Algebra 1 or geometry, which makes them behind a grade level already. Generally, 9th grade Algebra 1, 10th grade geometry, 11th grade Algebra 2. Also, the common assessment for both geometry and Algebra 2 were on material that the students had just covered in September. All geometry students just finished Unit 1 transformations. That means that they took the same common assessment 2 weeks ago. The students might actually do worse since they could have forgotten the material. For Algebra 2 students, my classes had just learned most of the material at the end of September. So again, I'm concerned that they will actually not increase their score, the one that they took 2 weeks ago. I'm also wondering what the purpose of even showing you the data from the common assessment. Are we going to compare pilot students to non-pilot students? Both teachers at El Camino are teaching the pilot, are also the honors teachers. So our students are expected to have better scores than the non-honors classes. So how is that reasonable data? So this week, the students took survey questions, which I'd love to read to you, but I'm running out of time. But most of them were pertaining to the class this year. And do they have opportunities to learn from ideas from their classmates? Do they work with classmates to solve problems? Well, my kids have been in groups since before COVID. They work together every single day. They converse about the math every single day. So this curriculum has no different in my classroom when it has those things. Also, the survey is not given to non-pilot students. So why is the purpose of the survey then? Just last 30 seconds. Some of the students in my Algebra 2 class have actually been in the pilot for 2 years because they piloted last year in geometry honors. So they have seen both curriculums. They've seen illustrative mathematics and they've seen the Carnegie learning. I would be very curious to see how they rate the two. Thank you for your time. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you so much. Charlie Tapia.
Good evening. I have been a dedicated employee of South San Francisco Unified School District for over 10 years. My daughters have attended school in the district since 2011. I intended to speak to you tonight just as a parent, but the truth is I can't separate those two roles. I'm here because I am deeply concerned about the safety of our high school students. My daughter, a senior at El Camino High School, does not feel safe at school. She's been physically attacked by other students twice. The most recent occurred on January 27th, her 18th birthday. It took 2 teachers and several of her friends to pull the other student off of her. My daughter had her hands in the air, telling the aggressor to leave her alone, yet she was still attacked. She did not fight back this time because the last time she defended herself, she was suspended. This situation did not happen in isolation. My daughter reported harassment to school administrators last year, yet nothing was done. She finally reached a breaking point and stood up for herself, asking the student and their friends to leave her alone, only to be met with violence. These two incidents are apparently unrelated. After the January 27th attack, I picked her up from school and kept her home. I immediately sought help from the Director of Student Services to discuss alternative options for her education. Instead of support, I was met with dismissive and rude comments. The director, who works in the same office as I do and was aware of the previous attack on my daughter, never once asked if she was okay, physically or emotionally. I was shocked by how I was treated, not as an employee, but as a parent seeking help for my child. The lack of response from the school administration has been unacceptable. While my daughter stayed home that week, not a single person, neither principal, vice principals, counselors, nor anyone from student services reached out to check on her well-being. This is not just about my daughter. I know other parents who have felt unsupported by El Camino's administration and the district's student services. I can only imagine how poorly other parents have been treated. Now my daughter faces the trauma of walking into school where she does not feel safe. Imagine going into work every day and having to see the person who physically attacked you. How would that affect your ability to function? Tonight, one of the items being presented is wellness counselors for elementary schools. While that is important, I'm here to tell you that high school students also need more options for support. People who will listen, take action. My daughter's teachers have reached out to me saying that they have seen her in tears.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item P, consent agenda. The following items are submitted. Oh no, I skipped a lot of things, sorry. Item N, information only presentations. Number 1, educational services, teaching and learning presentation, Monte Verde Elementary School. Dr. Moore.
Thank you, President Anthony. It is my pleasure to introduce Principal Debbie Mert, who will provide the board and our community with key information, data, and insights about Monte Verde Elementary School.
Good evening again. I'll get right to it because I know the agenda is very packed tonight. This slide should be very familiar to everyone. This slide shows the district and Monte Verde values and strategic priorities. I have to say that community, or wait a second, there we go. Community is definitely our strength, and we have strong relationships with among our own staff and with our families. You see, we had a few of our teachers even speak tonight, so I would say we're empowered educators. There we are. And later on in the slides, you'll see that no matter which subgroup our students are in, we have the same expectations for them as for any. Here are the aims that we are implementing all 4 in the work that we do. We are actually real evidence of portrait of a graduate. I can say that we have 12 El Camino and South City graduates on campus every day, making an impact in the classrooms or in the office where they teach. And actually, many of those graduates have their children in our schools. Here's who we are. This is our student demographics. Something to notice here is the number of English learners that we have has decreased over the years. We're down to 35. Our number of students with disabilities over a few years has gone up to 58, and that gives us 11%. We used to be in the range of 9. This is our attendance. Green is good, but Monte Verde is Green Mountain, so you see why. We have 80% in satisfactory, and this is pretty good, I have to say. We only have one student in the severe chronic range, and that person is actually very ill, so that we have allowances for illness. And I'm happy to say we don't have any students in the extremely chronic range. Here we are year to date. January seems to be our worst month for attendance. Overall, most months are over 96%. But like I said, January is not our best in both years. Our best month seems to be September, and our overall attendance has increased from last year, 23-24, to this year, 24-25. This is the attendance broken down by subgroups. Our highlights are that our Pacific Islander group has improved over last year. Our special education students are coming more often. And our other subgroups have been consistent over the 3 years. Here's our reading screening, the Dibbles reading screening. Now, I have to say that the beginning of the year scores are pretty valid. But if you look at the middle of the year slot for every grade level, you can see that not at the time that this slide was put into the presentation, not everyone had been tested. So we have a little bit of data integrity issues here. We can't count everything if all the students are not counted. Here's our CASP overview. 79%, almost 80 for language arts, 77.27% proficient in math, both outstanding scores. We increased in language arts by the same amount that we decreased in math from the year previous. I have to say it's really hard to keep those scores at that high range. Here, this is the language arts for the past 5 years by grade level. You see the gray band was the year after our distance learning, of which I am proud of the work that Monte Verde and the effort that our teachers did during distance learning, but there was a definite decrease across the board. It seems students do need direct instruction from the professionals. And we did find out that the students don't teach themselves. Same thing in math. Math, we dropped dramatically in some of the grade levels. You can see the overall average. We were at 79% before COVID and dropped to 59% after. And we're on our way back. If you look at 22, 23, and then 23, 24, comparing them, we did have a decrease in two of our grade levels, third and fifth grade. I hate to say it, those were two grade levels that piloted the math last year. And the previous year in 2023, there was a third grade that had a 94 proficient rate. And that's one of the classes that dropped. Here's our breakdown for our student groups. Some highlights here. 73% of our Hispanic students were proficient in language arts. 68% of our English learners were proficient in language arts. 44% of our special education students were proficient in language arts, and 40% were proficient in math. So as you see, we're working very hard with the students in all of our subgroups. This is our science baseline. And what you may not realize is that we do departmentalize our program for science in grades 3 to 5. 65%, 65 and almost 0.5% proficient for science, compared to the state was 30%. Our district average was 33. Now, the dashboard on the right is sort of a question we have, sort of a work in progress, but strange. So you see our LPAC scores are in the orange range. The strange thing is our ELs, our English learners, scored in the blue range on the language arts for the CASP. They also scored in the blue for math. We have to remember that on the CASP, 3rd through 5th graders are being represented, but with the LPAC, it's kindergarten through 5th grade who are tested. And if you think of it, it could be that our numbers of ELs have gone down, so the percentage will be different, and the students that who are going to be taking the LPAC are most likely 1s and 2s, a few 3s. Here's a few pictures of what's going on at Monte Verde and our culture of our school and the traditions that we have. We come together every year and we do our walkathon, and we have school-wide incentives that are earned. We have cheering every day. That top right picture is the last cheer before our walkathon. That was on the day of the walkathon, and all 5th graders were invited to lead the cheer that day because it will be their last. We do have a good time together. We try to make things enjoyable so everyone wants to come, everyone wants to participate. I chose to also show our participation in the Ruby Bridges Walk to School event, which is one of our newer traditions. There's also a picture from a 4th grade field trip. And mostly you can see that everyone participates. Everyone has the opportunity to be involved. I included this slide just as a reminder. We started out our school year with our office in the cafeteria. It wasn't pleasant, but I just threw these pictures in to give proof and evidence of our flexibility and our resilience to survive through construction. And we had a few bond visits the other day, And I'm just looking forward to what's coming next. I have to say that our PTA president did a better job of relaying the information about how we are bringing Portrait of a Graduate to life through all of the wonderful examples she gave about the things we're doing on campus. I had chosen these pictures here because the students were doing something themselves. The third and the fifth grade teachers run a relay once a week, and the students race against each other, and they have to work as teams, and they've figured out how to handicap it so it's always a close race. Well, the fourth graders decided that they needed to do their own relay. So they got together as teams, and they figured out their common goal, and I would say that they handled it themselves. And it was so funny to see that when there was a problem or they wanted to do something, they were able to put it into real life and all work together toward a common goal. Now we come to the thank yous for our volunteers, and these are the parents that we're recognizing tonight. I just want to especially thank these parents. They've been responsible for ceremony earning for learning, movie nights, running the snack bar. A couple of them are the PTA officers. You heard from our president earlier tonight. They run the holiday gift shop. It becomes a full-time job during the week that that the shop is open. They've been field trip chaperones. They drive on the field trips. They help with art and action. They work in the garden. They're helping in classrooms. And I have to say, pretty much anything that happens at Monte Verde, they're involved with. Do I do it now or? Okay. All right. So we have Janine Alvarez, Wendy Chan, Beverly Desuacito, who happens to be Bianca's mom, Tomiko Joe, and Walsey Wong. If you're here, come up. There you go. Thank you. And yes, some of them have been voluntold to do these things. And my last slide is the best slide. Here are a couple of pictures of exceptional educators who provide exceptional instruction. And I just want to say thank you to the Monte Verde staff. A huge thank you. We work hard, we play hard, we laugh together, but I have to say that they have been a wonderful support to me this year, and I thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Comments? Trustee Richardson?
Thank you. I want to thank you for your resilience and putting up with all the construction and disturbance. And I know it's been a long time that I finally saw the bathroom that was finally finished. So I appreciate your patience and appreciate all the staff and the students, especially the volunteers who are very, you know, volunteering is a full-time job. So I understand that they can be a vital support for the whole school. So I want to acknowledge that I do appreciate them as well. And thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Richard. Student Trustee Harsana, I didn't ask if you wanted to make a comment.
So I am a former Monte Verde Eagle. As a former student there, I just want to say that I think it's really amazing how quickly that Monte Verde has recognized the goals of Portrait of a Graduate and then actually implemented them. And to see like results within a single year is just absolutely wonderful. I love my time at Monte Verde, so I'm so glad to see that the community and the staff are keeping up the spirit and that other students can experience the joys of elementary school.
We do have a good time. So did Josephine.
Thank you so much. Trustee Lamb?
I have a few words to say. So, yeah, thank you, Ms. Mert, for being here. And thank you, all of you. I've been really looking forward to having you all here for the longest time. You know, as you know, well, I have one kid there now. I'm a graduate from there. I know Dr. Moore, you know, you're a fifth grader there. It's such, you know, where I think once my younger one graduates, I'll be one of the long haulers, which is kind of an interesting honor. But so yeah, for about 9 years now, I've kind of known the Monte Verde community. So, you know, I just wanted to say publicly, you know, you, Ms. Murray and your, all the teachers and parents, you know, your team, you know, everyone here is a team who have personally supported the community and have, you know, supported me, you know, my husband, my kids for the longest time. You know, it's talking about the COVID times. You know, my older one went through that, and I know what a huge challenge and, you know, stressful time that was. But I know, Ms. Mert, from what I observe, you go through things in a very practical, no nonsense way, you know, no drama, you know, whatever the kids are doing that, you know, may drive the parents crazy, you know, you just kind of know how to handle that and not get too caught up in all that.
Have
So I
to
just
laugh at it.
Yeah, I appreciate so much that kind of, yeah, that approach. So yeah, just again, just want to say I'm eternally grateful for the impact that you've had on our kids' lives, you know, all of you collectively. And just personally, you know, it's an honor and a privilege to serve on the board as a Monte Verde parent because, you know, the culture, the caring, creativity, and volunteerism, both, you know, up and down all levels from the parents and teachers, you know, and you're all a big reason why I am able to even be here and serve on the board, because I know you have our families back. And Ms. Mert, you've had a big part in building that culture up for many, many years. So I just want to, you know, acknowledge that publicly and just know how much I appreciate that and recognize that. Also, just, you know, the Halloween game is strong. You know, ever since the first time I met you, you were Prince, and, you know, and now you are, and you did the Inside Out too, and it's great. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. Trustee Shea.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Principal Mert. I always enjoy your presentation.
Thank you.
Just make sure you hear it. No problem. And then I'm so proud of our students there, as you highlight our CASPs. Almost 80% on both subjects exceed and meet the standards. That's outstanding. So continue with the great work. That is really amazing. And I also appreciate you share your data on the thoughts about our math pilot. That is very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Shea. I also am interested about the math pilot comment, and also just want to point out that I don't think we should compare third grade to third grade to third grade as much as we should compare third grade to the rising fourth graders.
Right, but if you look at it, it did go down. Third to fourth.
But the pilot was in 23-24.
Right, so you can't see them until next year.
Right.
Right.
So we don't know if it went down. What we do know is that the fourth graders who were at 75% remained at 75%.
From fourth to fifth.
From fourth to fifth.
Right, but it's this, I have to say, our teachers are consistent. And so usually their scores are pretty close the following year. They're doing the same thing, they're teaching the same lesson, they're giving the same intervention. And so if to go down a few points like that, we're doing the same things. It's some of the students, what we're doing is we're lifting them all up, whether when they don't understand, we're putting the extra time into it to bring them up. So a little dip like that is meaningful.
Okay. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. All right, moving on to 1B, performance management, multilingual learner. Dr. Moore, do you want to introduce Dr. Garcia?
Yes, it is also my privilege to introduce Dr. Marcos Garcia, and he will be providing the board and the community with an update on our multilingual students, really highlighting just the overall continuous improvement process and some of their successes. Dr. Garcia.
Great, thank you. Greetings, Dr. Moore, Superintendents and Board of Trustees. Tonight I will be presenting the Multilingual Learner Performance Management presentation. And I do want to note the shift in language. We are now using multilingual learners to celebrate and acknowledge the assets that our students and families bring into our schools. So this is our agenda. You'll also note our shift in presentation will align to how our department supports the 5 strategic priorities that will bring the Portrait of a Graduate to life. We'll start with the department overview. So you'll note we have a small but mighty team of 6 multilingual learner TOSAs, 3 that support the elementary and 3 that support the secondary. And we have 1 curriculum and instruction specialist that supports all curricular implementation, piloting, and professional learning. Next, you'll see what our mighty team of 6 does. They supported nearly 1,700 multilingual learners across 15 sites, 400 educators, and you'll see more once we talk about the 5 priorities. One note, I do want to acknowledge we are going to be having a district-wide reclassification ceremony, so please save the date, April 17th. So put that in your calendar. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about our goals. So we are committed to providing excellent customer service to students, to staff, to community partners. We're committed to establishing a data-driven culture with site educators and teachers. We're committed to providing research-based professional learning that is culturally and linguistically responsive, promoting multilingualism for our students and families so that they are seen and treated as the assets that they are, and advocating for the needs of multilingual learners, as well as partnering with families and community partners for student success. Now here you'll see our actual numbers. So you can note we're at about over 1,600 multilingual learners. And of that, 181 are long-term English learners, which is, they've been designated EL, that's the state classification, for more than 6 years or more. And then we have the category of at-risk, which is 4 to 5 years as English learners. The other thing that I want to note is that We have 750 RFIP students. Those are reclassified students. And we still have the responsibility and obligation to monitor them for 4 years after they are reclassified. And that's what our multilingual TOSAs help to do. Here you'll see this past spring summit of LPAC. And I wanted to go ahead and highlight this by the 4 particular domains. So you'll see that they're assessed each year in the area of listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And there's one of the domains that I didn't put any numbers, and that's because there's only 18 students that scored between a 1 and a 3. That means that most of our multilingual learners, when they take the Summit of LPAC, they're scoring 4s, okay, in speaking, which highlights the fact that our students are grasping the oral language, okay, with ease. Our challenge is
which
looking
color
at,
is 4?
Sorry?
Which color is 4?
So you don't have a 4 there. You'll have light blues being 0s. You'll have dark blues being 1s, 3s being dark green, and then so light green, and then dark green being the 3s. So of the total number of multilingual learners, only 18 received a score in those ranges. But I do want to note that we do have an issue with our reading scores and our writing scores, and also the listening scores, which means we do need to emphasize academic discourse in classrooms. And we also need to emphasize designated ELD across all of our school sites with attention to writing. So that's something that we do want to ensure, and that's what our multilingual learner TOSAs provide support with. Here are our reclassification comparisons from 23 to 24. You will note a decline or a difference between 23 and 24. And the main difference is that in 2023, we started to align our reclassification criteria with neighboring districts. And that's why you see that jump in 2023. And we did that because we realized by having, and I don't want to say this the wrong way, but by having a higher threshold, we are actually gatekeeping. We want to be able to reclassify more of our students by the time that they get to middle school and high school. Here you'll see our ELA progress, and now you'll start to see the long-term English learner criteria, because that is something that we are now going to be responsible as a district to plan for in our LCAP and as well as in our site plans. What are the actions that we're doing to address our long-term English learners? And that's why I wanted for us to take a look at how our students are scoring in our LPAC. We'll see a little bit more in a minute. So note that our English learners in general are in the declining, right? So are our long-term ELs. However, we still see the same pattern that we just saw with the Monte Verde students, that the RFIP students are still outperforming our English-only students. So we do have to recognize the performance of our reclassified multilingual learners. This is math, and we see the same pattern, overall a decline for our English learner and LTEL category. And the same pattern is true for our RFIP students in math, continuing to outperform our English-only students. This is our LP, our English Learner Progress Indicator. What this shows is on the LPAC of students are making growth of at least 1 level each year. And here you can see that there is a decline. That is problematic for us. This really is stressing the need to take a look at our core instruction and how can we also not only support designated ELD, but our integrated ELD. How do we support our language learners in their core content areas, particularly English and in math. Now we're starting to take a look at some bright spots. So here for our EL graduation data, you see that we did increase graduation by for English learners by 10 percentage points. Long-term ELs also increased by 6 percentage points. Some more bright spots. Now I wanted to go ahead and highlight the bright spots according to our 5 strategic priorities. So starting with the first priority, exceptional instruction. This is how our ML TOSA team supports exceptional instruction, primarily through training and professional development. So they have been involved in the professional development as it relates to math and science curriculum and ensuring that our teachers are learning how to support the language needs for those content area implementations. They're also supporting with our GLAD curriculum, with our GLAD strategies. Currently, we have over 100 teachers that have been trained and certified in GLAD. They also support the professional learning communities. They support culturally and linguistically responsive professional learning like translanguaging, which builds on the home languages of students and bridges it to academic language. Supporting with newcomer and ELD lab curriculum. Last year, there was a question about what are we doing for newcomers? We're proud to say that we've actually adopted a curriculum and we're supporting the implementation across K-12. Now, this is how our team is supporting engaged students. As I mentioned before, culturally and linguistically responsive practices are really important, particularly to acknowledge the assets that our students bring. Again, there's a translanguaging professional learning that we've been part of, both for elementary and secondary, encouraging and increasing the access to the seal of biliteracy, home language recognition, and as I mentioned earlier, the reclassification ceremony, we're going district-wide with that because we want to show our commitment to uplifting the biliteracy and the multilingual gifts that our students are bringing into our schools. The other component is our newcomer intake. Our community liaison team, alongside with our multilingual learner TOSAs, have developed this process to collect the academic journey of our newcomer students, which then they share via elevation to our teachers, as well as the needs, the basic needs that families might have, and we connect them to our Family Resource Center. We're supporting the Purposeful Partnership priority, primarily through our community and family engagement team. They've supported through a variety of engagements, such as the DLAC Cafe, the Parent Cafe, as I mentioned, the newcomer intake. We've also been developing a family engagement playbook that we're gonna be able to pilot this spring, and the development of our Family Resource Center, as well as our community learning exchanges. Last spring, we held a community learning exchange in this space here, where we had over 250 participants, 40 of which were community partners, all coming to share what are the ways that they're going to go ahead and help bring the portrait of the graduate to life. We've also been involved in coordinating and facilitating Know Your Rights trainings in this current climate. Okay, empowered educators. We support this primarily through the way we're staffing. So again, we have our TOSA team. We have also been able to ensure that we have bilingual aides across all of our Title I sites, newcomer aides at Parkway and South San Francisco. We're currently funding an ELD teacher to support the flooding model at Spruce. And we're also providing stipends for newcomer PLC leads, as well as GLAD PLC participants. We support equity-centered systems by the monitoring that I mentioned earlier of our RFIP students. And our goal is to connect that monitoring to site-based MTSS and RTI systems. Next steps. Next steps, we want to continue to look for opportunities to develop professional learning by site. So customizing based on the needs of individual school sites. We want to be able to implement a coaching model. We want to be able to continue to develop more data-driven professional learning plans. An area of growth. Currently, we haven't had mandatory access to all staff or PD day or district collaboration, and that's an area of growth. So we're hoping to have more access. So that way, as we mentioned earlier in the data, there's a need for us to be able to talk about Tier 1 instruction and the language needs of our students in Tier 1 instruction. We're currently short a partner, senior office assistant, crucial role, but the team is stepping in to support. Another area that we're looking to support is additional ELD teachers across the Title I sites. So hopefully in the future, we can support that. Any questions?
All right, we have 4 minutes before a break. Do we have a lot of questions or comments? I think it'll probably be better to just break and then come back. So we'll come back at 8:36.
Thank you.
All right, we are back. Please come sit back down. I'll talk to you. Okay. Trustee Lamb? We are 1 minute over. Trustee Richardson? We are 1 minute over. We have a lot of things on the agenda. I am not trying to be mean. I am trying to be efficient. All right. Trustee Richardson, you had some questions or comments.
To say to Dr. Garcia about commenting on our state requirements. And I found out at the break how difficult it is for some of our students to actually leave the designation of EL learner. And if you want to explain to us, Dr. Garcia, about what the process is for a student who's been designated as an EL learner and then therefore and has actually learned enough English not to be considered with that designation or classification.
Right. So at that first slide where I was showing the LPAC scores from 2024, you see the 4 domains. So every year, our students, our multilingual learners take the LPAC and they're tested in these 4 areas. They need to get an overall 4 on the LPAC, meaning that not in one area of these 4 domains, they can have below a 3. They need to make sure that their overall points, they score a 4. In addition to that, they need to also be proficient in the SBAC, right? The CASP, sorry, the CASP. So they need to have those 2 criteria in addition to teacher input and parent agreeing to reclassification. So our students are actually, our multilingual learners are held to a very high standard. And I think that's why you see our RFIP data for ELA, for math, outperforming our English only data, because they are held to a very high standard. Now, the challenge when our students have been designated more than 6 years or become LTELs is that you'll see they're proficient in conversations. They've been in our schools since, and a lot of times since elementary, since first grade, since kinder, and they're in our middle schools and in our high schools still with that designation. And our concern is in the area of reading and writing, right? So we encourage the use of academic discourse, the implementation of designated ELD, particularly in our elementary, and with that focus on writing. At the secondary level, we already have in place like this in the structure of middle school and high school, they're getting their designated ELD, right? So there's classes for that. Where we, and this again, this is my opinion, is that where we need to strengthen is the ways in which we support language in content area classes like math, like science, like social studies. So one of the things that we're currently exploring for secondary is through EL Achieve, and there's a set of practices called constructing meaning, which focuses on the academic language that can be supported in various content areas. So I'm hoping to explore that this spring with our secondary team and having conversations with our secondary leaders, and that's kind of what I'm thinking for now.
Thank you.
Anything else, Trustee? No? Okay, Trustee Lamb?
Oh, hi, Dr. Garcia. Welcome. Thank you for your presentation. Yeah, I had a couple of remarks and questions. Well, first I wanted to remark, I believe on slide 7, there was just something that I was really heartened to see. One of the bullet points was like promoting multilingualism, so our students and families are seen and treated as assets that they are. I'm just so grateful to see that, kind of written down. I do believe, multilingualism is an asset and, whatever challenges, English, learners are facing, that they can treasure that and hold on to that, because it's, having that language, access to, multiple language or knowing multiple languages is just a bridge to, multiple cultures, multiple communities. So I thank you for, promoting that. And then I just, to my questions, one is, so I know you've mentioned supporting families with various resources and doing the Know Your Rights workshops and so forth. I know there's a lot of anxiety in the community about the current political climate. I do believe there's, members of our community who are, want to support our neighbors as, in whichever way they can. So I wonder if you could speak to ways that other folks in the community could, support families.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So today we did host a Know Your Rights educator training for North County. It was a collaboration with Jefferson Union High School District and the San Mateo County Office of Ed, San Mateo County Office of Community Affairs. And one of the things that really stands out is the San Mateo County hotline. And that hotline is really important because it helps to disseminate actual information, true information versus spreading rumors and fear. The more that we use the hotline, the more accurate it can be. The other services that they provide is actual legal counsel in case some of our community members are either arrested or detained, they can provide legal counsel immediately. So as soon as we know of something like that, for us to go ahead and call and report, so that way they can be able to provide legal counsel to our community members. In addition, they support with relief for the families of detained community members. So that's what I would encourage is if folks are trying to figure out how to support the hotline, I would reach out to Faith in Action, and later I can share some other contact to see about how do we maybe even donate to that that fund, right? Because it is funded through the county, but currently they're able to provide up to 3 months of rent support and things like that. But if we were able to share that with the community at large, I think we could support even more. So I would encourage supporting the San Mateo County hotline.
Yeah, thank you for those insights. And then my second question was, I believe on slide 24, you spoke about, I guess, areas of growth. And I think I was just curious about the last point, sorry to make you scroll all the way to the end, about the dual immersion pathway. I wonder if you could just speak to, I guess, expand on what you would like to see from that.
Sure. So yeah, this is an area of growth, primarily due to capacity. As you see, our small but mighty team of 6 is providing support in what we call maintenance. Each year supporting the professional learning planning and the assessment and the case management of our multilingual learners. And I believe that in order for us to engage in a meaningful dual immersion exploration, we need capacity to do so. What that would involve would be having authentic conversations and engagement with the community to understand their interest, and then moving from that to exploring what are some possible models. This is a larger undertaking because it would be not only conversations with our community members, but also with our labor partners. What would that mean for trying to recruit B-class certified teachers, and what does that mean for our current programs? So it's something that I would love to explore, and we need some capacity to begin that.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the amazing presentation and the updates. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garcia. I really am excited about the district-wide reclassification ceremony, and I'm just a huge proponent also of the Family Resource Center. I'm really glad that we're doing that. I think it is a really wonderful thing to show what we can do when we all work together to solve problems and help our community. I'm a member of my Buy Nothing group, and I was like, I need boys' clothes. And the community came out. I had to pick up like literally 2 carloads of men's and boys' clothes in the last couple of weeks. And then our wonderful, wonderful community liaison, Fatima Maldonado, helped me unload so many things. And I hope that it gets into people who need it. I know it will, actually. So thank you so much. I'm really happy about this. As a person who learned English or learned Polish as an adult, it's true, right? Like I speak fluently, I listen fluently, I read fluently, and my writing still looks like a 9th grader's. And it's really hard, and it's sort of unfortunate that they have to be perfect in so many categories in order to age out or grade out. You know, it'd be interesting to see how some of our like native English students would do on the same assessment, right? Like it would probably be telling. Yeah, I'm glad about the work that we're doing. I'm really excited about the model. I'm looking forward to seeing how what comes out of the flooding model at Spruce and getting more updates on that as we see kind of 2 years of data.
Right.
And with that, I think that's probably enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
All right, we have another presentation. This is a presentation with potential action, item O, administration strategic staffing plan, aligning resources with priorities. Superintendent Shantara Moore will present the strategic staffing plan to the board for implementation. Oh, yes, that's right. I do have 2 public comments. Thank you. Last call for any public comments on this item. All right, I'd like to invite up Leah Lenz.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. Good evening, board, cabinet, and South City community. My name is Leah Lentz, and I'm a tech TOSA in the district, and I'm here to address the strategic staffing plan proposal, which includes adding instructional coaches, but it does not, to my knowledge, mention the removal of several TOSA positions in their place, cutting support for social science, ethnic studies, technology, and multilingual learners. I appreciate the district's goal of improving teacher retention and growth through coaching, but TOSAs already serve this role. In 2016, as a first-year teacher at Parkway, I was offered coaching by multiple TOSAs, and their support was invaluable. And now I'm even coaching my replacement at Parkway. Replacing TOSAs with coaches only increases teachers' workload, while the remaining TOSAs must take on the responsibilities of the eliminated positions. Furthermore, these new coaches will be placed at Title I elementary schools, while most eliminated TOSA roles serve secondary schools. This removes critical support from secondary teachers and students and forces out experienced TOSAs, creating roles that will be difficult to fill due to mismatched expertise. Another major concern is the lack of clarity and teacher involvement in the proposed coaching model. Rather than leveraging the expertise of teachers and ed services staff, the district is outsourcing its development to an external company unfamiliar with our community. A successful coaching model needs to be developed internally with those who truly understand our schools. I don't believe any TOSA position should be cut, but I wanted to highlight the work of tech TOSAs and our importance to the district. Tech Skills has a dedicated section in our Portrait of a Graduate, and my partner Jen Chan and I have played a crucial role in its development to ensure meaningful integration. In just my first year as TOSA, we have trained preschool through 12th grade educators on multiple ed tech programs, guided families in using district technology, and led 3 educator teams to develop tech scope and sequence, establish AI usage guidelines, revise and ensure delivery of digital citizenship curriculum, and support CTI site leads in collaboration with our wonderful IT department. These critical projects cannot be sustained with only one tech TOSA next year. With tech embedded in every grade and subject and the rapid growth of AI, this decision will directly undermine the district's commitment to digital literacy and equitable access to technology. I urge you to first retain the TOSA positions to uphold high quality curriculum, integrated technology and digital literacy, and educator support across TK through adult ed. And secondly, postpone approval of the staffing plan until the coaching program is clearly defined, and prioritize the expertise of TOSAs and the rest of ed services before turning to an external vendor. I know I am new to this role, but I have been in this district for 9 years, and I can confidently say that the TOSA team is a small but incredibly dedicated and hardworking group of educators. Losing any of them would be a huge loss for us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rico Campbell.
Hi, President Anthony, Dr. Moore, board and cabinet members. I had some questions in regards to the slides for the, the upcoming slide. On slide 28, I see a budget deficit of around 27 million. And I'd like some clarity on why that asks for $2 million more for more directors and assistant superintendents when the student enrollment in the district is trending down. I was part of the Portrait of the Graduate for the community events, and I'm really happy I was part of that. And nowhere in the talks did we get to the point where we were trying to dole out this amount of money for directors. And that's all the comments I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, trustees, incredible community. Tonight, I do have the privilege of being able to share with you and present on our strategic plan, one of the initiatives that we have within the strategic plan, which is how to align our resources to that of our strategic plan priorities. I stand here as the one who is presenting, but I have to really give just an incredible amount of kudos and appreciation for the amount of work that went into this. There was a full team of people that helped to really think about and plan for the presentation that we have before you. So I'd like to start really with a big thank you first to our Board of Trustees for your leadership, your relentless focus on doing what's best for students, and for your trust in approving our bold strategic plan a couple of years ago, or last year, excuse me, with all of the initiatives within. I want to express my deepest appreciation to all of our principals, our union leaders, our directors, our cabinet members, and our district staff, whose feedback did help to shape the plan that you have before you. And then, of course, thank you so much to all of our students, our families, and community members whose feedback over the last 2.5 years has shaped the plan and the changes that we have indicated we want to make in order to realize the promise that we said we would do for every last one of our students. So this particular quote has been top of mind for me. Last year, as you know, we launched into our new strategic plan to help us achieve this bold Portrait of a Graduate vision for every single student in our district. In order to meet this bold vision, we realized we need to work differently. We need to be open and willing to change, to adapt, to learn new things, and to think about learning in new ways. We know that the way that we are currently organized and using our resources don't always necessarily allow us to do things differently. And we do believe that we have to be open to doing things differently if we want to get different results in order to realize the promise for our students. To do this, what we have committed to doing, which is outlined also in our plan, is to being bold, to being inclusive and responsive, and adequately resourced while remaining financially disciplined. Of course, we want to be inclusive in our planning. We want to hear the feedback that we've received, and we will take that feedback into consideration. And of course, as we are implementing the plan, we want to make sure that we are adequately resourced and financially disciplined, and ensuring that throughout we're really thinking about this lens of equity and being very thoughtful about how we use our resources. In that spirit today, that is what I'll be discussing to meet these objectives before you. Many of us have seen this slide before. We worked a couple of years ago to set a new vision for the students in South San Francisco Unified, our portrait of a graduate, our promise that each of our students will learn constantly, will thrive as people, will know how to navigate with purpose and intentionality, and will be able to impact their communities for the better. We also spent time clarifying our CARE core values, and we identified 5 strategic priorities that will help us achieve our portrait. We set our new vision, and then we started identifying the specific strategies that will help us achieve that vision. Thank you. Recognizing that there are things and opportunities for us to really think about how we might approach things differently from the way we have in the past. So what was our driving question? The driving question we had this fall, as we started implementing our strategic plan, was how can we allocate our resources to advance our strategic priorities more effectively and more equitably? What did we hear from the people with whom we spoke? So I'm going to go back a couple of years. Over the past 2 years, we heard from thousands of students, families, and staff about their vision for our district and our graduates, and ways and ideas on how we might bring that to fruition. So we went back to that thousands of feedback that we heard through the strategic planning process to be able to help reorient ourselves to what our community had asked for. This past fall, we then engaged principals, directors, union partners, and cabinet members about what they thought we needed to do differently to meet our ambitious goals. What you see on the slide are cutouts of all of the quotes that we received. You just have a snapshot, and we spent hours pouring through these quotes. We got hundreds and hundreds of data points about what we could do to change and improve across the district. As I said, cabinet came together. We then started reading through all of the quotes, internalizing what everyone shared, and then we grouped our feedback into 4 themes. Ways we can better focus on instruction, especially with exceptional instruction, as one of our main priorities. The need for more student and family support, especially around mental health in schools. The need for more capacity in human resources, which we heard from a community member today that shared that. And the need for more transparent, clear decision-making across the district, driven by data, accessible data. So much of the feedback gathered primarily focused on the need to make some adjustments to start at the district level in order to more fully and seamlessly address the needs at the schools. By doing that, as we shared, it would help to alleviate some of the barriers and the challenges that we were unintentionally causing. That is why you will see in this plan that for this initial phase, we are seeking to prioritize investments to start at the district level. So we put these in themes, regrouped them, and then we prioritized them. So I'll share with you the intended planning priorities for the fall based on what we heard. We heard the importance of strengthening instruction, investing in instructional leadership, coaching, and better alignment. We heard that we need to invest in wellness and strengthen our student and family services, that we needed to improve human resources, customer service, and responsiveness, and invest in talent recruitment hiring, and retention. And we also heard that we needed to clarify decision-making, planning, and approval processing, just so it's just clear for people on who is making the decision and who is responsible for, who's going to be accountable, who's going to be responsible for carrying it out, who needs to be consulted. So how will we change? So the team got together, we went through these priorities and then started thinking about, so what does that mean? Here's the first thing that we indicated we would prioritize: piloting an instructional coaching program as an investment into instructional leadership. And so our first is to propose launching a site-based instructional coaching program beginning with our Title I schools. We know and we have heard that our educators need more support in instructional practices and effectively utilizing curricula. Instructional coaches will be hired to help provide that support. We would like coaches to be selected by and to report directly to our site leaders, because we want to make sure that they are also supported by district leaders in terms of training, ongoing professional development, and feedback on coaching practices. Our coaches, as we have it, will be members of the CTA. They will not supervise teachers. Their job is to help coach, mentor, and support teachers in getting better. And we have, as you heard, started working with one of our Partners in School. And Partners in School is helping to facilitate, but it is with a committee of South San Francisco Unified School District educators, teachers, and teachers on special assignment who are helping to shape the coaching program, something that we do hope to launch at the beginning of the 25-26 school year. The next part that we are proposing is sharpening our focus on instructional leadership. We want to shift some things in our educational services department. And we'd like the first thing to signal a change is the title, retitling it Teaching and Learning Department. A lot of the feedback that we heard was focused on this department and the desire for deeper levels of curriculum, instruction, accessible data, and more support and alignment with our schools. As over the years, our educational services department has been incredible. They see a need, they step up, and they're willing to address that need. But what we've found over time is that the department has picked up things that traditionally don't live in the ed services department. Our current team has done a wonderful job bringing us to this point and preparing us for the types of reorganization that we are proposing. As part of the renewed focus and vision for the work on instruction and instructional leadership, the assistant superintendent, along with the new director of school leadership, will support our principals. Much of the data that we heard from leaders is we would like to be coached. We also want someone that can help us on a day-to-day, someone we can call, someone who can help with the problem solving. So I evaluate all of our site leaders, but we all know that my evaluation is very different from having someone who is on the ground with them week to week, month to month, day to day, helping them problem solve the various things that come up for them. The director of school leadership and assistant superintendent will be the two to really provide that to our school leaders. They will also work to ensure that the teaching and learning team works in alignment with schools and that communications are streamlined. Also feedback that we had previously heard about sometimes receiving a lot of different direction from within one department. The director of student performance position will remain the same, staying even more focused on data analysis, in providing data and training and helping people to analyze and interpret. Director of Innovation will continue to focus on math and science and our partnership with Genentech. Director of EL and categorical programs continue to focus on literacy and our multilingual learners and categorical programs. However, over time, it is part of our goal is to have someone that holds curriculum, instruction, and assessment for all of our student groups so that they're not parceled out amongst different directors. And finally, the new director of school leadership is the person that would help to manage the coaching program to ensure that coaching practices that teachers are working on are in direct alignment with school leader support. They would also be supported by a coaching coordinator. Note that we will have 5 directors in ed services in this initial phase, with the 5th director not being funded by South San Francisco Unified, but funded by Bay Ed Fund. The next phase would be when we return back to a status quo of having 4 directors in the ed services department. And you'll also note, I haven't mentioned much about special education. I know many of you might be thinking what's happening there. We have been working very closely with Director Yakub to make improvements in our special education department. We're eager to finalize those conversations and share updates with the board over the course of the next few weeks, but these conversations are happening in parallel. So that's why they're not explicitly shared tonight. Next piece is really strengthening instruction by adding designated substitutes at each school. We will be planning to add a teaching fellow at every school next year, which will serve as a floating substitute. Principals can then utilize that teaching fellow to cover a classroom when teachers are out, or to provide coverage so teachers can observe and visit one another. Teach Start is one of our partners as we're growing our teacher pipeline, so we're just excited about that. This is something that came before the board a few months ago. The next piece is about how we invest in wellness and strengthen our student and family services. And so as we think about student and family services, we heard from our community and they indicated we need more support for students. And so that is where we are proposing adding wellness counselors to the Title I schools to start and continuing to build the relationships and the supports for them. We also are planning on expanding our student and family services team. And so what you see on this slide is counselors currently are being, they are currently reporting to someone in the educational services department. It would mean that counselors would then move over to the student services department. The new title that we're looking at for student services is student and family services, to really think about how we're serving our families. Community liaisons currently report to the educational services department. They would then shift to student and family services department. And then this team would be the team that's responsible for really helping to make and create a welcoming, inclusive environment, particularly in our reception areas. Next, improve our human resources, customer service, and responsiveness. So we are also proposing to invest in human resources. We are creating new positions that will focus on certificated recruitment and classified recruitment. We're proposing having a new position that focuses solely on HR systems and data so that we have accurate, organized, actionable HR data to inform our hiring and retention efforts. We're also anticipating another director that focuses on talent strategy, especially when it comes to that recruitment and hiring. And of course, under Mr. Hanan's leadership, prioritizing a superior customer service experience for both those outside of our organization, but also those within our organization. And then the last piece is on clarifying decision-making. And I am committed, and I know my team is committed to making sure that we just do a better job in being really clear and transparent on behalf of our students. And so part of what we wanted to do is really go through a process of listening to what people were saying were some pain points and some barriers, and being able to address those. So many of the new investments that you see will directly impact students and families' lives, like dedicated wellness counselors, ELOP coordinator to help work directly with families for after-school programming. Others will directly impact educators' day-to-day experiences, like initiating at instructional coaches at Title I schools. The impact of others, though, may be more indirect, but are just as important. Most of the feedback, like I said, that we heard was about the district office services and operations to create a more effective baseline level of support for our schools. We do think that by improving our services and operations, we can help site leaders, educators, and families focus on their primary responsibilities, which is caring very deeply for our children. For example, increasing HR capacity will take some burden off of recruiting for our sites, who often have filled in the gaps and helped us. Getting a dedicated support person in the form of a director of school leadership will help to streamline communications to principals and assist them in problem solving their day-to-day concerns and challenging both operational or instructional. And moreover, throughout this process, we made some conscious decisions, not only about what to add or to change, but also about what to keep. We consciously did not touch positions or programs that directly impact students, even though they have been funded by one-time grants. And instead, we have elected to dip into our reserves if needed to preserve them. For example, roles like reading specialists, site-based interventionists, La Garza, air tutors for kiddos with IEPs. Those were conscious decisions that we made in realization and value of the services being provided on our campuses. So you're probably thinking, how do we plan on resourcing these things? We know that these investments will have an impact on our students and our families and our educators. We also know that these investments require resources. So I mentioned that throughout the process, we have been trying to be very disciplined. So I want to share with you some of what we did to do that. So under Mr. O's leadership, with ERS's support, which is Education Resource Strategies, we did a full review of our financial landscape. I'm proud to say that our finances are relatively stable, as you hear Mr. O presenting frequently about the state of our budget. While other districts are facing significant challenges, we are in a good financial spot right now. However, as Mr. O shared during his first interim report, we do have a number of grants that are ending or that have ended. And as you know, we are enthusiastically negotiating a new contract with our CTA partners. And so we have to be ever mindful and responsible in order to think about where we might want to, at some point, make some reductions. We can do anything, but we can't do everything. But that is why, when developing the staffing proposal, we strove to be fiscally disciplined. So our staffing proposal does include both investments with a recognition of the ways that we will be offsetting reductions and by additional revenue. So how are we going to reorganize ourselves to make room for these strategic investments? We are planning on reducing our YSB contract. As noted, if we're bringing in wellness counselors to the Title I sites in-house, we're no longer going to be utilizing YSB for those services. We're going to be reducing some district office-based roles. Everyone whose role has been impacted has already had a conversation with our Human Resources Department. Even people who may have a role that changes or shifts, we are opening new roles, and we do want to find the right place for all of our people where they can make the most impact for our students and families and schools. We are in the process of negotiating contracts with two of our partners that you heard a couple of community members mention for next school year, so that we're going to be gradually relying less on external consultants and more in our own capacity as we invest in our educators. And then, of course, we are seeing increased revenues for various reimbursements and funding from the Bay Ed Fund. What I am proud of that this team has done is really seeking to manage change in alignment with our CARE core values. These are really exciting investments. We also recognize it is a significant change to how many teams and people have operated in the past. And so throughout this process, we are rooted in our CARE core values. We are really committed to managing this change thoughtfully and intentionally, and with care for particularly those who've been impacted. What I will also say is I know that this isn't everything people may have wanted. It may not be everything that people think we need to do, but it is a start. And it's a beginning for us to think about, we have this incredible strategic plan. How do we then align resources and service to that? And it is our proposed way of doing it that is bold, that is inclusive, that is responsive, and that is disciplined. And so at this point, I want to thank the board and the community for the feedback that we have received. I will open it up for questions. We are requesting, this is a presentation that is for approval this evening. I also would like to invite my colleagues, Mr. O and Mr. Hanan, who will also be helping to address any questions that you may have. So I open it up to the board.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moore.
Sure.
Dr. Shea, you want to start? Trustee Lamb? Somebody needs to go first. Trustee Lamb, calling on you.
Much time do we have?
No, Richardson's go.
I'm just going to be brief. Yes, I appreciate this outline. It does give a roadmap to everybody what our plan is, where before we weren't really sure when we're started, but we've already started, and I understand we've been on this plan for 2 years, and it's a big lift. Okay, I understand that. But do we want to project at this time how long this process would take our specific district? we have these benefactors and I appreciate them so much. I mean, they really, and to you, Dr. Moore, because without your leadership, they would have walked away with their millions of dollars. So I totally get it. But, honestly, we see some things and I'm just waiting. Where is the benchmarks that we want to say we've achieved this much? We've been into the plan 2 years. What are the benchmarks?
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Richardson. So part of what the board did was approve the plan last year. We are in year 1 of implementation. And so what you are seeing is this plan is representative of an initiative under equity-centered systems that we said we would do. In order to be able to hit the benchmarks, we said we need to look at the plan and then allocate resources differently in support of this plan so that we have the right people in the right places and the right positions to be able to do the work in order to carry out the strategic plan. So this is year 1 for us, and this is one of the initiatives that we said that we would accomplish this year.
That update.
Trustee Lamb?
Hi. I had posed some questions about the budget, and I know it's kind of a big topic because there is, some initial resources, it seems, to implement this first phase. I know in the memo, there was talk of the plan costing $2 million for the first 2 years. If it's possible to kind of give an overview of what that looks like, why it's necessary, and then how that increase will draw down in subsequent years. Maybe Mr. O, if you want to jump in, or
Yeah, I
Dr.
can take
Moore.
that question. Thank you for the question. So, just like, when I present my financial report, I had to break down the cost, the impact to our district over 3 years. So we call it the multi-year projection. So that's one of the things I did to make sure that we can afford the additional expenditures. So the net impact to South San Francisco Unified School District budget, over the 3 years is about 2.5 million. And to break that down, the first year is about 1.4 million, second year about 600,000, and the third year about 500,000. So that's what makes up the 2.5 million over 3 years. If we just count 2 years, like you mentioned, it is around 2 million.
And I have trouble phrasing this because I think I know when I was curious to see why that first year was necessary. It seems like there's sort of this, it seemed like there's kind of like an overlap, like we have old positions and we're going to create these new positions. I guess I'm just trying to understand, or maybe create like a mental model of like why that first phase seems, or that first year or two seems to be a higher, and then things are going to gradually draw down.
And I could answer that question for you. Those are very good questions, actually. So the reason for the cost reduction for 2026-27 and 27-28 has to do with the funding from Bay Ed funds. So as Dr. Moore mentioned, we'll be phasing out some of our partners, for example, like Partners in School Innovation, PSI, Learner Center Collaborative, LCC, and Ed Pioneer. So it will eventually, over the next 3 years, we'll phase out with the partnerships. So once we phase out, the funds that are dedicated by Bay Ed funds to these organizations will be used to help offset some of the positions that were added. So that's why we still get the funds, but instead of paying to the partner, it'll be paid to the district to offset some of these new positions. So that's why you see a reduction in the cost in the out years.
The other thing, Trustee Lamb, to note is that one of the things that we've been really intentional about doing is not, so you heard us say that we have several one-time grant funded positions. Many of these have expired or will be expiring, and we have not made those reductions. And so it is on top of the one-time positions that we have absorbed as part of our general fund budget. That is also what's contributing to the rise, the larger cost, because we haven't made the reductions for some of these one-time grant funds.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. I have a couple comments. I really appreciate the thorough and transparent approach to the budgeting that Mr. O and the team has presented. It's very clear that our district is being proactive in anticipating financial challenges and planning accordingly. So, Mr. O, can I ask you one more simple question? Can we afford this staffing plan?
Yes, definitely for 2.5 million over 3 years, we should be able to absorb that in the budget. But what we need to think about in the future is, we have additional costs from negotiation or maybe, staffing or funding cuts from the state because we're not sure what's going to happen with the new administration. So we need to prepare for that. When you saw my first interim financial report presentation, I mentioned there's about over 5 million of positions charged to one-time stimulus funds that's expiring or coming to an end or depleted. So, so eventually, like most school districts in California, we're gonna have to make some cuts, some tough decisions. But how much we determine that we need to cut will depend on, how we settle with our bargaining units.
Got it. And one more comment, I really want to point it out with Dr. Moore, your presentation, that this staffing proposal is very clear to me. It's grounded in research and extensive stakeholders' feedback. So I really appreciate that. And that's well aligned with our strategic priorities. So I appreciate the phased implementation plan that you share a little bit, ensure leadership is in place before rolling out additional roles. I think that is very strategic and very important. And so, and also I also want to comment on the conservative budgeting approach, this commitment to review existing programs that you mentioned on the slide to determine their effectiveness. And this approach I really appreciate because that's how we ensure our resources are reallocated or where they have the greatest impact to our students. So please continue doing this excellent work. Make sure that the program that we are going to keep, we are really evaluate them that has strong impact to our students. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think Trustee Richardson was alluding to something very similar for us and really thinking about as we continue to do further analysis, we have a lot of programs in our district and they may not be the same across the district. And so for us really getting very clear on what is the intended impact and are we actually having that impact for the students that we serve. And so that will certainly continue to be one of the principles that we hold as we're moving through this process. Go ahead, President Anthony.
Thank you so much for this presentation. I really like that Trustee Shea writes out her comments. Mine are going to be a little bit more off the cuff, but spoken from the heart and from experience. Change is really hard. I mean, I think that everybody knows that. I think that all of you are aware that Mr. Hanan is currently the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Student Services. And how much time does he get to spend on student services? It's very little, right? It falls to the director, and that's fine on some level. But we are saying that one of our 5 priorities is empowered educators. If that's a priority, then we should have a person dedicated to doing that. If one of our priorities is purposeful partnerships, we should have somebody who's working on those partnerships, and those partnerships are with our students and with our families. I think one of the things that we hear a lot in anonymous public comments that we receive beforehand is a questioning of the intelligence and the intent of the people making decisions. And I'm not super into the challenging of the intelligence or why people are doing things. These things are, if we believe that people are experts, and you believe that you have union representation, that is where the teacher voice comes in. You should be speaking to your union rep. That person is representing a lot of things. During the last year, when we heard a lot of things about math adoption, we heard a lot of not nice things about TOSAs. And now we're hearing all the wonderful things about TOSAs, which is wonderful. And I'm really glad. And I also think what we hear is that we want them to be in the classroom more. We want them to be coaching more. We think they have capacity for coaching more. And now we're saying, oh, well, but we need to have all of these positions. And that's really, really hard. There are going to be trade-offs, and every decision set that you're going to make is going to have trade-offs. And the other reason, I mean, looking at this, I can understand why we're not, going wholesale 2 feet deep end on all of these changes. But as looking at what we're adding and looking at what we're doing in the shift, I'm really excited about shifting and combining the positions of English Learner Director and Innovation and Community Outreach Director into a curriculum instruction. English language learners, multilingual learners are learners. Special ed students are learners. I know that our director of special ed is doing her damnedest to do this. I know she also has a lot of compliance. Yeah. And I think that in a lot of these spaces, we've had to focus on compliance because we haven't had time to focus on excellence. And I think that this program will help us focus on excellence. And I'm excited about that. And I also know that it's going to feel like Band-Aids pulling off your skin and your hair, and you're just not going to like it. And I hope that what happens is that you come back and you say, you know what? We are doing better for kids, because at the end of the day, we're here for students. We are here for making sure that our students and families feel appreciated, that they feel wanted, that they have the chance to achieve their goals and dreams, that they are able to achieve their portrait of graduate. And the way that we're set up right now, it's really hard to do that. We have a lot of people running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and our principals are looking to Dr. Moore for more guidance. And she's dealing with a lot of other things. It's this, it's that, it's this. And there's only one human, right? I look at my city manager that I work for, and she is all over the place. She's got all of these things going on. And then people say, well, she should be doing more. I mean, it's your job. It's not your life. And she actually makes it her life for most of the time. I mean, we are here so much. They are here so much. And I know that you are all putting a lot of effort in the classroom. And my hope is that this plan, and I understand that we are delaying the adoption of the instructional coach job description. And I think that sounds like the right decision in order to get it right, so that we're talking about it in the right way and we're finding the right skill set and we're saying, this is what we really want out of this position. But I'm excited about having more ability and more resources at the school level. When I worked in Chicago Public Schools, everybody agreed that the principal was pretty much the key to the school. Your district leadership is really important, and it's having that district leadership that you can go to and you can say, I trust that this person is going to get their job done right. I trust that they're going to support me. This system, I think, will help support that better, and it will also enable our principals to do what they do best, which is manage their campus and support their teachers, and ultimately, and most importantly, support their students. So I recognize that there's going to be some growing pains. It doesn't feel good. I don't feel good about that either. I think that everybody in this room knows that we are talking about people and we're talking about their real livelihoods and their real skills. And I don't want to diminish that, but I am also really excited about what this can bring for our district. So thank you.
Thank you, President Anthony. And just, I'll put a pin on it after this, we are also very committed as we think of purposeful partnerships to partner with those in our community. And part of that pulling of that job description was to make sure that we are partnered and working in tandem and in partnership so that we can provide the very best to our educators. So I appreciate that you amplified that point. Thank you.
So with that, we move to action, administration A, approval of the strategic staffing plan. Do we have any other comments? Okay, may I get a motion?
I motion to approve.
Okay. Second, motion from Dr. Shea, second from Trustee Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries 4-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, just trying to get my screen back up here, my agenda. All right, moving on to P, consent agenda. The following items are submitted for board approval. One motion will authorize actions for those items so designated. Do we have any questions or comments about this consent agenda? Okay, I have one comment. I just wanted to call out on number 2A, education services. Hidden in that item is a note that Derek Padilla from El Camino High School will be awarded the Henry Betancourt Award for Area B, which highlights his outstanding contributions to student activities and leadership development. So congratulations, Mr. Padilla, and I hope that you have a good time. Okay, may I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Okay, first from trustee Lamb, second from trustee Shea. Yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, information discussion. Oh man, we have a lot of informational things tonight. Number 1, business services, update on governor's 2025-2026 budget proposal.
Okay, good evening. Okay, yeah, I was supposed to present this on the last board meeting. Unfortunately, I was out sick, so I'm presented on this board meeting. Okay, so this is an update on the governor's 2025-26 state budget proposal. So on Friday, January 10, 2025, Governor Newsom released his state budget proposal for next year, 25-26. But this year, rather than the governor presenting the budget proposal, it was done by Joe Steffenshaw, the Director of Department of Finance. So on January 21st, my staff and I attended an in-person workshop given by School Services of California in Sacramento to gather the details of his proposed budget. So we'll be using this information to update the district's 24-25 second interim financial report, which we'll be bringing to the board in mid-March. So keep in mind that this is still a proposal at this time. The governor has another opportunity to make changes from now through early May before he releases his, during the time where he releases his May revision in mid-May. So the governor presents a budget, a balanced budget that assumes steady, stable national growth. He also noted that the uncertainty about the fiscal or federal policy as the most immediate risk to the economic forecast. The 2025-26 state proposed budget was prepared prior to the devastating Los Angeles fires, which caused total property and capital loss ranging from 95 to 164 billion. Since the population of Los Angeles County makes up about 25% of the total state population and home to 14 of the Fortune 500 companies, this is sure to have a significant impact on the California economy and the state budget. In addition, the IRS and California state filing deadline extension for Los Angeles County will make it very difficult for the state to obtain a good estimate of its revenue because this county contributed more than 50% of the state's revenue in the prior year. So according to School Services of California, some of the risks to the state budget include the stock market volatility, extreme weather events, delayed tax deadlines due to natural disasters, and also the federal policy uncertainty related to the tariffs and immigration, and also elevated interest rates. For education, Governor Newsom proposed a state budget to preserve investments made during the boom years and propose an education budget that invests in core instruction and learning through a combination of one-time and ongoing funding. There are no mid-year cuts, no deferrals, and no program rollbacks like in the past. The bad news for education is a shrinking local control funding formula due to a heavy declining enrollment in the state and the tiny cost of living adjustment COLA for 24-25 of 1.07% and a small COLA proposed for 25-26 of 2.43% only. Tonight, I will be providing an update on some of the areas of the proposed budget and its impact on education. So regarding the local control funding formula, LCFF, on the This formula, the governor proposed to fully fund this for 25-26 with ongoing dollars. So the proposed 2.43% COLA for 25-26 is a revenue reduction of about 0.5% for school districts from the proposed 2.93% COLA when we finalize the current 24-25 budget. Lucky for us, this doesn't really impact our school district because we're a base aid community funded school district, which means we get the bulk of our revenue from property taxes and not so much from the state. Regarding CalSTRS and CalPERS, which are the employee pension, on employee pension, the governor did not provide any new funding for the California State Teachers Retirement System, which is CalSTRS, or the California Public Employees Retirement System, CalPERS, and his 25-26 proposed budget. The employee rate for CalPERS would increase from 27.05% to an estimated 27.40% in 25-26. For the CalSTRS, it will still remain the same at 19.10%. So this would be an increased cost to school districts. Regarding universal transitional kindergarten, the governor's budget proposal includes a total of $2.4 billion ongoing for full implementation of the universal transitional kindergarten in 25-26. He also wants to provide a total of $1.5 billion ongoing to reduce students to adult ratio from 10 to 1, from 12 to 1 to 10 to 1 in 25-26. And then lastly, he wants to invest $10 million one-time funds for the state to provide a new English language screener for transitional kindergarten students. Okay, so the governor's proposed budget also includes several one-time funding grants. One of them is called the Student Support and Professional Development Discretionary Block Grant. And these funds may be used for the following purpose: to address specified unspecified rising costs, professional development for teachers on the English language arts and English language development framework and literacy roadmap, professional development for teachers on the mathematics framework, teacher recruitment and retention strategies, and career pathways and dual enrollment. So it has multiple uses for this proposed grant. So he's proposed to allocate about $1.8 billion to this new one-time block grant. Another one-time block grant he's proposing is the Language Recovery Emergency Block Grant. The government wants to provide about $378.6 million to this block grant. And this block grant was initially established in 2022 Budget Act and supports learning recovery initiatives through the 27-28 school year. And lastly, the governor has prioritized teacher recruitment and retention programs over his tenure. The governor's proposed budget continues that trend and provides $150 million to create the Teachers Recruitment Incentive Grant Program that will provide financial assistance to teachers candidates. In addition, the budget allocates $100 million to support the existing National Board Certification Incentive Program and to support the National Board of Certified Teachers to serve in high poverty schools. So these are some of the one-time funds that the governor is proposing for 25-26. So by keeping in mind that these funds, with the funds needed for the devastating Los Angeles fires, there is still a lot of uncertainty if there will be sufficient funds for these one-time grants, because they were not included in his proposed budget in January. And the governor's budget also proposed that you maintain funding level for special ed at the 2.43% COLA as well. So again, these are just proposals from the governor at this time. During the next few months, the legislature, which is the state senate and state assembly, will go through the proposals, either pushing back on the governor's priorities or proposing their own. In mid-May, based on the latest financial information, which includes the impact of the LA fires, the governor will release his May revision, which is an update to his proposed budget for next year. And then staff will be attending a workshop to gather more information at that time to share with the board. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Richardson? Thank you. Mr. O.
I was interested in that value for special education because that was a staggering amount that we have to budget for them. I wanted to ask you, is that 2.3 of the COLA going to impact our services to special education? And don't we rely a lot on the federal government to supplement some of these costs?
Well, we get both federal and state funding for special education, but what they provide us is not nearly enough. We basically contribute more than 30 million from our general fund to that program to cover our obligation to provide those services.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. O.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we move into the core action part of our agenda. And I will just make a time check. We've got about 25 minutes before we have to take another break. We may have to extend this meeting, but I will try to get through this as quickly as we can with enough time for questions. All right, action 1, administration. B, approval of district's updated board bylaws and policies. Staff recommends the approval of the following updated district board bylaw and policies and waive a second reading as presented to the board. Do we have any questions or comments?
So I move
Okay.
to approve the following updates, board policy bylaws and waive a second read.
Thank you so much. Motion by trustee Shea. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by trustee Lamb. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Moving to educational services, 2A, approval of agreement with document tracking services, DTS, for 2025-2026. Staff recommends the approval of the renewal agreement with document tracking services for March 2025 to March 2026. Do we have any questions or comments?
I do.
Okay, trustee Richardson?
Is this service for the document tracking includes our projects for the bond program, or is there a separate software for that?
Yeah, this document tracking services is the agreement that we utilize for our school plans for student achievement. I believe that there is a separate service for bond tracking.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, okay. Can I get a motion?
So move.
First by trustee Shea, second by trustee Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Educational services 2B, approval of the MOU with Silicon Valley Education Foundation, SVEF, for 2025. Staff recommends the approval of the MOU between SVEF and SSFUSD to provide the Elevate Math program designed for 3rd to 9th grade students effective June 1st to August 1st, 2025. Have questions or comments?
So move.
Okay, first by trustee Shea.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Lamb. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. 2C, approval of the service proposal with Young Audiences of Northern California, YANC, for 2025. Staff recommends the approval of the service proposal with Young Audiences of Northern California, effective March 1st to September 1st, 2025. Any questions or comments?
I did have a question generally about if we offered language support for students who speak language other than English for these summer programs.
That I don't know about. It does say in the plan for this one that there's additional ELL support, which may translate to that, but I would have to check with Dr. Garcia.
Okay.
I also didn't check this compared to last year, but I feel like this year they included professional development for teachers on a level that they haven't done in the past. Is that true? Okay. Okay, great. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, I think that was a first by trustee Lamb and a second by trustee Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. 2D, approval of the work experience education, program district plan for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the work experience education, WEE district plan for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments?
I did have one question, and well, let me start with my comment. I'll try to be brief. I just really appreciate oh, actually, that might be for the next proposal, but I'll just mention it anyway, that I appreciate the topics that are covered in this program. And I just feel they're very sophisticated in terms of addressing environmental sustainability, financial literacy, business planning and leadership. And I just wanted to commend that. And I had a question in terms of how worksite placement or employment is considered to be eligible for this program.
All right. I think you were asking about the students and how they were placed. Is that the question? Yes?
Yeah, how do the work
Yeah, I
sites
think the
qualify?
placement, I guess I was under the impression that students were either could choose the work site or were they just placed by the class?
So I think for this one, the student would need to be at the worksite placement associated with that particular CTE pathway. That they are either currently enrolled in or previously completed. So if they're in a specific pathway and they film like an after school, like managerial production arts pathway, who film an after school activities such as sporting events, they would be eligible, but they would have to, the teacher and the CTE coordinator would be the ones to determine eligibility for placement.
Okay, great.
And we should let Coordinator Roquette eventually answer this, but what I've seen in other schools, districts, is that the worksite placement, the student can find their own if it's out or off campus. And then they would be approved. They would bring it and say, this is the tasks that I'm doing. And so it could be approved. And if they need help in finding it, sometimes the CTE coordinator also helps coordinate with school site or with job sites that are interested in having CTE students. And then they might be able to be placed that way. So it can be student driven or CTE coordinator driven as well. I'm not sure if that's the same program, but like work placement for CTE typically works.
That's the model you've seen. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I move.
All right. Motion to approve by Trustee Shea.
Second.
Second by Trustee Lamb. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0. Motion carries. All right. Approval of the Career Technical Education Work Experience Education CTWEE course proposal for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the Career Technical Work Experience Education course proposal for 2025-2026. I think we do have a question. I think this is probably the one you were.
Yeah, I think I jumped ahead of my question, but anyway.
I also just want to acknowledge Jennifer Roquette for her great work in building out our CTE program. So just continued appreciation there. Any other comments or questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Trustee Shea, second by Trustee Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. All right, we've got approval of the MOU with the Exploratorium for the 2024-2025 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the MOU between Exploratorium and SSFUSD to support the evaluation and development of instructional resources as part of the Elementary Science Instructional Innovators Cohort Initiative for the 2024-2025 school year. Good thing we have 4 people.
Before, yeah, I have to recuse myself because the Exploratorium is my employer, but please
All right.
proceed.
So we got 3. Any questions or comments on this one?
That's mighty noble of you.
It's good. All right, we got a motion from Trustee Shea. Can I get a second? Second by Trustee Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 3-0 with Trustee Lamb recusing herself. All right, moving to Human Resources 3A, approval of the MOU with Classified School Employees Association, Chapter 197, for the paraeducator recruitment and retention strategy for the 2024-2025 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the Memorandum of Understanding with Classified School Employees Association, Chapter 197, para-educator recruitment and retention strategy for the 2024-2025 school year. Any questions or comments?
So move.
I got a quick comment, which is that I'm really glad that we're doing this. I know that paraeducators have been traditionally a very hard position to fill, and I think that's because they need to get paid more. So I'm glad that we're doing some new things to try and attract more. Okay, we got a motion from trustee Shea. Second? Second from trustee Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. All right. 3B, approval of the MOU with the South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association, SSFCTA, for the early notification retirement incentive for the 2024-2025 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the memorandum of understanding with the South San Francisco Classroom Teachers Association for the early notification retirement incentive for the 2024-2025 school year. Any questions or comments? Nope. I don't have a comment on this one. What? Thank you.
I mean, I did have a couple questions if
Okay,
it's
trustee
all right
Lamb?
to ask. I'll just ask two. So one, is this a cost-cutting measure and how so? And two, is there any intent to freeze positions of those who choose to retire early?
Thank you, trustee Lamb. I guess you could look at this both as a potential cost-cutting measure as well as a workforce planning strategy. So as an example, if an experienced veteran teacher took advantage of the early notification incentive, we would potentially be hiring someone who generally on average would have lesser experience than someone who has been in our district, right? And that ties to their salary step placement as an example. From a workforce planning strategy perspective, we would have advance notice of potential vacancies, and we would work with our school sites around enrollment and determining whether or not we would need to backfill the position. You voted earlier about the release of temp teachers. There's an opportunity there to potentially tap one of those temp teachers to backfill a position. Those are a couple examples. And then your question about freezing positions, we are not currently planning to freeze any positions at this time.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so move.
Sorry, have we offered this program in the past?
President Anthony, yes, we have. Our last MOU with our partners with CTA was in the 2020-2021 school year.
Okay, thank you. I heard a motion already from trustee Shea. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All right, trustee Lamb, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. All right, approval of the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning job description for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the job description for the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning effective for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions?
Briefly, I saw that the days of employment is 260 days versus, I think, 220 days. How does that figure into our school year, please?
I think you may be referring to the difference between a director work calendar versus an assistant superintendent. So we have a longer work calendar.
Thank you.
All right.
So move.
Okay, got a motion from trustee Shea. Second by trustee Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. 3D, approval of the Director of Data, Educational Technology, and Accountability job description for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the job description for the Director of Data, Educational Technology, and Accountability effective for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments? All right, can I get a motion?
So move.
Trustee Shea, second?
Second.
Trustee Lamb, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. All right, approval of the Director of School Leadership job description for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the job description for the Director of School Leadership effective for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments?
Briefly, will they be in charge of the district's web page and putting it together? it says data, educational technology and accountability.
Oh, we moved to 3E for the Director of School Leadership.
Yeah, but we're already passed. That's not included.
It's already done. It's passed.
We passed that
I've
one.
been wondering where the category was for maintaining the district's website and updates on newsletters, and I'm just sort of wondering who's you know.
Georgina.
Trustee Richardson, that position is held by our Chief of Strategy and Communication, Georgina Blackett.
Okay.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the Director of School Leadership job description?
So move.
Motion by Trustee Lamb, second by Trustee Shea. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. All right, moving on to 3F, approval of the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment job description for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the job description for the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, effective for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments?
So move.
All right, I've got a motion by Trustee Shea, second by Trustee Richardson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Okay, item G, approval of the coaching coordinator job description for the 2025-2026 school year. Staff recommends the approval of the job description for coaching coordinator effective for the 2025-2026 school year. Any questions or comments? Trustee Richardson? Okay, can I get a motion? Okay, first by Trustee Richardson.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Lamb. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0 till 10:07 because we came back at 8:37. All right, moving on to 4 business services. A, approval of agreement with ID Bailey for auditing services for 3 years. Staff recommends the approval of agreement with ID Bailey for auditing services for fiscal years 2024, 2025, 2025, 2026, and 2026, 2027. Any questions or comments?
So move.
Got a motion by Trustee Shea, second by Trustee Richardson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 4-0. All right, business services B, approval of resolution number 2503, supporting the award of the leaseback and agreement with Alton Construction LLC for the ECHS Central Kitchen and Cafeteria Project. Staff recommends the approval of resolution 2503, supporting the award of the leaseback, site lease, and facilities lease agreements for the El Camino High School Central Kitchen and Cafeteria Project, and authorizing district staff to enter into these agreements with Alton Construction LLC in the amount of $410,000. Any questions or comments? Yeah.
I want to say I appreciate their thoroughness, and I can rely and show the public when I get asked where all our money's going to, and I do get those questions. Where is our bond money going? And I just, you know.
I really appreciated the breakout of the selection. Thank you for that. All right, can I get a motion with the waiving of the reading of the resolution?
So move.
Second.
All right, perfect. We got a first by Trustee Richardson, second by Trustee Shea, and this is a roll call. So can I get a roll call, Joanna?
Trustee Richardson,
Yes.
Trustee Shea,
Yes.
Trustee Lamb,
Yes.
President Anthony.
Yes, motion carries 4-0. All right, review of future agenda items and meetings. Any questions or comments? Do we have a summary of board directives?
There are none.
All right, good and welfare, we have about 6 minutes because I have a little thing to say at adjournment. So we've got 6 minutes for good and welfare. Do you want to start, Trustee Richardson? Yes, we have 6 minutes to do this.
Basically, we just got back from a wonderful 2-day intense immersion of our staff with 25 of us, including Dr. Moore and Mr. Hanan and Mr. O and myself and a few 23 other people. And we had a wonderful time. We learned so much and it was impactful. And I feel energized over the attendance. So I just wanted to give the board an update that our strategic plan is aligning nicely and I'm very excited. So thank you so much for everybody's.
Thank you so much, Trustee Richardson. Trustee Lamb?
All right, I'll go as quickly as possible. So first of all, I was really jazzed to visit the Future Lab event at Genentech with Trustee Anthony, Mr. O, Ms. Ng, Ms. Rockett. There were some folks I'm leaving out, I apologize, but it was great. Suzanne Lee gave us a tour and let us know that this was the 10th anniversary of the event. And South San Francisco High students got to try out different aspects of the biotech business, not just the lab work, but also legal, marketing. There was a new topic about AI. So it's all different things that I think it's very rare to see people engage on all different aspects of the biotech industry. I also had a chance to visit the Children's Center a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Moore. That was very great visit. I think that was the first time I've been to the pre-K program that the school district runs. So it was very eye-opening and enlightening to see the kids that we're serving in the pre-K programs. And they're all really cute and friendly as well. And then I'll just mention that I'm going to attend the Monte Verde Feast of Nations on February 20th for the first time ever. Sorry, I've never gone before, but yeah, okay. I'll try to think of something to bring. And so thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Lamb. Trustee Shea? All right. I just want to remind families that the transition to middle school and high school event is coming up. I think that it has been shared with all of our elementary school and middle school principals. So please encourage your transitioning students to go. And also just another shout out to the Family Resource Center. I believe they had their first open hours just a few days ago. So with that we come to adjournment. And I want to say, as we close tonight's meeting, I want to take a moment to honor the memory of Mrs. Eileen Christofferson, a cherished teacher and colleague who made a lasting impact on the Skyline and SSFUSD community. In recognition of her dedication, kindness, and unwavering commitment to education, we adjourn this meeting in her honor. Our thoughts are with her family, friends, and everyone mourning her loss. May her legacy continue to inspire us. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.